So yes, guys, welcome to tonight's live stream. We're joined by Natalie.
Good evening.
So we're going to do everything golf fitness here on the live stream. So any questions that you've got with golf fitness and any questions that you've seen about off scratch, because obviously you've seen all the work that we've been posting about. It's now live, it's on the internet, and we have a week free. So that link's down below.
That is the best part of it. So just go and give it a go, trial it, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, so guys, anybody that watches this live stream right now, after you've obviously been on here and you've asked your questions, we're going to answer them as we go through on YouTube and on Instagram. We're here to literally answer all your golf questions, but also go and check out Off Scratch. If you're watching on Instagram, that is Off Scratch, at Off Scratch. You can click on there. The link is in that bio, and you can find everything you want to know about golf fitness. We've got 3 plans live currently, and we want to get your feedback because we've got some free ones going right now. Okay, so we've got some questions coming in here now.
Let's do it.
Okay, just got hi, which is a nice one. Hi. Welcome, guys. A lot of people going through this. So, Nat, here you go. Thoughts on TPI? This is coming from David on Instagram.
Oh, that's very rounded question, isn't it? Thoughts on TPI? I guess it depends in what context is that being asked for the first thing. Personally, I found it really useful for my career, and I know that a lot of the golfers I work with would like it because they see it as a bit of a way to connect their body to their golf swing. You know, rather than it being these 2 separate entities, we can kind of go, here's the physical, here's the swing, marry the 2. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, and if we look at like what me and Nat do on the YouTube together and an Off Scratch, we've created something which is basically combining golf and fitness.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a lot of people don't realize this, but essentially if you're swinging a certain way, it's probably you're swinging around your limitations.
Yeah, correct. You know, your body will find the path of least resistance always, and golf is a complicated movement, isn't it? There's so many intricate parts to it. So if one part doesn't work, your body will go, oh, I'll overwork this part instead. And that's what we've done with Off Scratch, is we've combined those 2 things to make sure that, you know, people can learn and improve in the fastest way possible, really.
Okay, so overall thoughts on TPI, yes or no?
Oh, definitely yes. Yeah.
Okay, next one coming in here from Instagram. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube right now, get down in those comments. I know it takes sort of a bit of a delay on us saying this, but get down in those comments. We're here to answer all your questions. So we've got another one here, early extension scooping. So if I said to you right now, early extension scooping, what would be like the, let's say, 2 to 3 main areas that people would fail a TPI screening with you that would cause that type of golf swing?
So the first thing for me is I would look at sort of lower body strength, pelvic mobility in terms of pelvis moving forwards and backwards, and then hip mobility as well, both left and right. Typically, we get that early extension movement thrusting forwards due to some sort of lack of movement within the pelvis, but also going down into the ankles as well. So lack of ankle mobility can be a real big one for people thrusting towards the ball, which sounds completely out there, but all that chain is connected. But strength is a big one. Core strength, glute strength particularly. Lack of glute strength means the pelvis shoves forwards and doesn't keep posture back. So that they would be the kind of key things to look at for me.
And if there's any sort of exercise that you would recommend to people watching on Instagram and on YouTube, what would you say is a biggie? Like, what would you say? I mean, as you said there, there's probably numerous things which are causing it.
Of course.
But if you just said there's one thing that, you know what, this would give you a big bang for your buck.
Okay, my biggest go-to would be the glute bridge with foam roller at 90 degrees. And if you haven't seen this exercise before, it's on one of my reels on my Instagram page. You will find it on the Combat Early Extension reel. There's 3 drills on there, but that is your go-to. Basic bridge, foam roller between the thighs, legs at 90 degrees, lift yourself up, tilt your pelvis back towards you, squeeze your butt. Simple as that.
Because essentially, when you tilt your pelvis back towards you in the downswing, that's you staying more in posture.
Exactly. We're just creating the opposite effect to what we see in early extension.
Okay, here we go. And there's a really good one. Guys, remember, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And also, you've got a link down below. So make sure you click on that link. You've got access to all those free plans or free week on Off Scratch. But ask any questions that you've got in your game. We're getting loads coming in here from Instagram. Okay, Ben said here, Ben Metcalf said, right-handed golfer, can't read that because you're a jumper, right-handed golfer, after every round, my left knee is so stiff, you don't like knees, do you? Takes 3 or 4 days to calm down. Is there anything I can do to avoid this? Only happens when I golf. I assume this is from the twisting. So
Okay.
Interestingly, we answered sort of a question on this today,
We
which
did.
will be coming up on
Yeah.
YouTube in a few weeks' time. And you said basically knees are a funny thing that can be caused in different ways, but this has actually been said it only feels in golf.
Yeah, a little bit more specific, which helps. Yeah, my big thing with knees is there's so many variables. It could be like 1,000 different things. And my advice always is to go and see a good physio.
Mhm.
That has to be your port of call if it's a reoccurring issue. Ben's saying that he feels that that's definitely coming from golf. So my initial instinct on that would be a lack of hip mobility in the lead hip particularly. And maybe there's some overworking of the left knee there. Maybe the left knee is buckling and taking a lot of weight. Also, another issue that's quite common is, again, a lack of general lower body strength. So what we see is people almost sink into the ground. And if they've got a dodgy lower back to go with it, the knees then take a lot of the weight through the downswing. So putting a lot of force through there, which we do as golfers. There is force there, but it sounds a bit like maybe there's too much force going through there. The mobility for me would be the thing to look at, the ankles and the hips. So he's a right-handed golfer, so left ankle, left hip, and make sure that there's accurate mobility in there and strengthening the lower body. So anything glute-based, anything hamstring-based, anything calf-based. But for sure, if it's a persistent thing, definitely see a physio.
Okay, so that's a great question here. We're getting some coming from Instagram. I've got a funny one coming in here from Brian Bronson. So, I mean, Bronson, you made a great point here. Like, golf should not be taught, in my opinion. Like, I've only sort of probably realised this more in the last sort of 3 years of working with Nat. Like, the amount of improvements you can make whilst you can do a lot as a golf coach, you can't do everything, and vice versa. Like, this relationship works hand in hand here. So it's got to be together. Okay. Here we go. I've got another one coming in here. Someone's asking, where's the wine? It's a very good point.
Your mum's just taking it.
Yeah, mum's taking it in the room. I saw one on here with around a bad back. Okay. Where's that one gone? I saw this one come through before on my phone. Okay, now someone asked you about a bad back. What would you say is one of the main causes of that in the golf swing?
Okay. Again, bit of a tricky one, a little bit down the knee route, because it's one of those things, like if we don't know if people have had prior injuries or they've got current injuries or, what they've been through in their life to potentially to give them that back pain. So generalizing pelvic position is probably the number one thing. So if you imagine this is your pelvis, we always want pelvis roughly parallel to the spinal angle. So if you're stood tall, it'll be parallel to the floor. If you bend over in golf swing, it will go parallel to the spine at 45 degrees. What we see with a lot of people is the pelvis is tipped forwards. So imagine your belt buckle pointing towards the floor.
I know, like when I'm standing around coaching, like probably a lot of people can get this after walking for a long time.
Yeah.
I stand still. I literally, my lower back down here is very, very sore.
Yeah.
So like after a period of coaching, so I can only imagine people who are excessively that way,
exactly.
Not very mobile, like sort of got like a sedentary job and then they go and play golf.
Yeah, exactly. So that sort of forward tipping or anterior tilted position compresses the bones of the lower spine. But what it does is sort of shorten the musculature. So if you imagine this bottom part of the spine here, all it did was go from there to there, kind of quite compressed. And it's sort of constantly contracted. If you imagine just squeezing your fists all day, eventually, the muscles in your hand will be tired. And it gives you that bruised sensation of sort of like a dull ache where you just need to maneuver yourself around quite a bit. So pelvis position is a big thing. And people are built differently. So some people, naturally are tilted that way and it doesn't cause them any issue whatsoever. So therefore we wouldn't really mess with that. But for the majority of the population, they're excessively tilted. Then we go into golf posture and ask you to stick your butt out, apparently, because that's how we all got taught as juniors. So everyone does that now to the extreme as well. So it just comes back to that, just finding neutral again a little bit, and that 90-degree bridge exercise will do that for you. That's such a great drill.
So you can use that one as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so guys, if you're watching on Instagram right now, we're going to jump over onto YouTube. So that link will be in my bio. Head over there now. We're going to answer one of the questions from Marco. He's asked one that on Instagram. So I've screenshotted that and we're going to have a look at that one first and foremost over on YouTube and then get to all the questions on YouTube. So also, final point, if you're on Instagram, head over and follow our Scratch as well and have a look at all those free plans. Thanks for joining us on Instagram. We're now over on YouTube for the rest of this live stream. Okay, guys, so if we're looking, you guys, on YouTube now, remember this channel is powered by you, the viewer. So any questions that you've got about your golf game, no matter how small or how big, get down in those comments because, well, let's make golf fitness. Let's take advantage of that. Not my forte, definitely your forte. Okay, so I had a question here I've just screenshotted, and it was to do with, let me get on here. It was to do with how can you have a better strategy on the golf course? So what is your opinion on that, Nat? Like, how can you get a better strategy on the golf course?
Ooh, this is a tricky one because I start with good intentions, but I don't always follow it through. Do you know what? I heard some advice recently and I thought this was really good. So this was on one of my podcast interviews. I was speaking with one of my guests, and he was basically saying all you need to do is give yourself like 1 or 2 things per round and make sure you complete them and don't worry about anything else. So it might simply be a case of like, right, you're going to make sure you aim on every shot as best you can and make sure, I don't know, what it could literally be anything, not lose your temper, whatever you want it to be. And you just make sure you tick those off. Because I think what we do is there's too many like thoughts in our head all the time.
For sure.
I do this. Like I stand over the ball sometimes and I'm like, did I send that email before? And I just get so distracted and I start thinking about other things. There's too much in my head where if I just had that one thing of like, right, all you're going to do today is focus on making sure you aim at the target every time. That's it.
That one thing.
Yeah, just one thing. Because like we're pretty simple creatures. We can't remember everything. And then you like, you know, you make a bogey and the wheels come off and you know, you think that one mistake is going to destroy the round, where actually it's then the compounding the mistakes after that then do destroy the round. Whereas if you just, you know, try not to panic, take your time. It's easier said than done. I do this every time.
Literally, I think a lot of people watching this right now will be like, oh yeah, I'm the same.
Sounds like me, yeah.
How would you describe yourself as a golfer then, just before we get to some of these questions coming in? And guys, don't forget to ask some more. We're down here in the chat.
Ooh, in one word?
Yeah.
Underachiever. I think.
It's a bit deep, that. I was thinking more like describe how you play.
Well, unforced error maker, I would describe myself as. So like I can hit most of the fairways and then miss a green from nowhere and then make a bogey.
So driving is a strong play.
Yeah, off what would be, you know, a simple up and down. And you don't get up and down all the time, so you're going to make mistakes.
Of course, yeah.
But the mistake is not hitting the green in the first place.
Yeah.
That's how I describe my golf.
Okay, let's ask this question from Jeff Nass on here on YouTube. So it said, Alex, I'm conference call. I'm in a conference call.
Jeff's at work.
And I can't have my speaker on. My fitness has been lacking. Love your show. So for Jeff and anybody else asking right now, if someone's been lacking in their fitness, what's something that you would recommend, like as a golf fitness person? Because obviously someone comes to you privately, you wouldn't just go and throw everything at them and you're going to lift weights and go Rory McIlroy style.
Yeah.
What would you recommend for someone like Jeff? Like, I think most people would probably fall into that category.
Yeah, I honestly think the first thing is like consistent, simple habits. It's giving yourself those 1 or 2 things to stick to and doing it for 1 week, then for 2 weeks, then for 3 weeks, then for 4 weeks. And before you know it, that's easy. And you don't even have to think about that anymore. And that might just simply be a case of going, right, I'm going to go to the gym twice a week for 30 minutes. Because I think the biggest mistake people make, golfers and non-golfers, when it comes to fitness is they just go, right, I'm going to go 5 times a week. I'm going to eat lettuce at every meal. And, you know, I'll be ripped in 6 weeks' time. And it's just not realistic. It's unachievable. It makes you miserable. And all of a sudden it's not fun and you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's got to be really simple, small steps. So commit to 1 or 2 actions you know you can definitely do within 7 days and plan them in the diary to do it. Because then there's no excuse. So if you know you're a busy person working, the only time you could train, whether it be at home, in the gym or with your mate or in the garden, whatever, is 6:30 in the morning. Get it in the diary and do it and just commit to it, because taking those actions is huge.
Okay. And I would totally agree. Like,
you get more from that than you would having this perfect workout plan.
I just realised, like, sort of in the last sort of maybe probably 6-7 weeks, I've started doing a fitness thing, and I've really bought into it because it doesn't require me to go every day.
Yeah.
And it's not like the most strict diet. I eat just a little bit better than I was, and replace what I'm a sugar fiend. So basically, anything that's sweet is mine. But I've replaced it with eating more fruit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. You know, you've got to be realistic. Like most golfers, they want to play golf, so we don't want to spend all our time on fitness. You know, people enjoy fitness, hopefully, but we've got to be realistic and see it for what it is. You know, if you've got a busy job and a family and a couple of kids to be picking up in the evenings, where do you fit this in? So it has to be 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Make it realistic.
Okay, from JMac619, he said, I'd be very happy with bogey golf. My swing speed is low. Now, I think a lot of people would fall into this category, and
Yeah.
my opinion as a golf coach is I try and make someone's hit as efficient as possible, and then ask them to add speed. But where we sort of work hand in hand is the fact that I can make you as efficient as possible, or give you the tools to make you as efficient as possible. But what exercises could someone do? Shut off the gun. Obviously, we actually have a free plan. So, J-Mac, I would actually recommend going over to Off Scratch and use the free trial on the
Bring
first
back your
week.
speed.
Yeah.
Try the first week. It's all in there.
Yeah, but give us a sneak peek now. Why does that help bring back your speed?
So the key thing is, I think, is nailing basics. I think that's where people go wrong, is that they don't have the basics right, and therefore they try and make these big complicated changes when it's really just simple stuff that will make a big change. So getting posture right, posture is crucial, because if you're not quite in the ideal posture, you're not in the most effective position to create speed. And I always describe it as this. It's like, imagine throwing a ball like that, and then imagine throwing a ball like that. Like, one is always going to go further, and it's about setting yourself correctly. So posture is huge, and that's something we really focused on in that plan, because it was the biggest complaint we had from all golfers as well. Not just from causing injuries, but like we said, poor technique, lack of speed. Secondly, it's just about doing some basic strength work. You'd be surprised how much of a difference small basic things make. You don't have to be bench pressing, deadlifting, squatting. There's a place for that 100%, and that will impact on some people and make a big difference for a lot of golfers. But for the average golfer who might be like a 15 handicapper playing once a week, wants to hit it further, basics is the way. Strengthening the lower body, bit more mobility in the upper body and the hips, and then having like an active intention. Like when you're teaching people at the end of the lesson, those last 5 minutes, go on, just hit your driver as hard as you can. And that's and because you have to teach yourself to be faster in order to swing faster. You can't just be in the same kind of bubble that you are. It's like, take 10 balls at the end of a range session and just smash them as hard as you can, and don't worry about where they go. And do that every week. You're
training it a little bit higher. So
exactly.
For example, JMax619 said, snow in Canada, just got back from indoor golf, 80 miles an hour tops. These are stuff you can probably do in the winter. Improve your posture.
This is the time to do it.
You can't move as best of your ability if you're not in posture. Okay, here we go. Brian Hunter, an injury one here, guys. And if you're watching this and you've got any injuries apart from knees,
we don't like knees.
We don't like knees. Get down in those comments. We'll offer some advice. We'll try and point you in the right direction. So get down in those sort of comments down below. So any tips for golfer's elbow? Now, I've actually got a client, online lesson, called Paul Fisher. He has been struggling with golfer's elbow terribly now, on and off for like 6 months, where it sort of repaired itself. We do some chipping, it feels great, hit some long shots, it's back. Now that I think from a personal point of view, this is a little bit of technique. We're looking to improve that, but it's a bit of a vicious circle, because every time he tries to go and improve that, it then hurts again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, this is a tricky one and so common. For me, it's, again, probably the best route is for sure a physio. Have somebody hands-on and actually look at it. If we're being general, then grip is a big thing. Grip tension is a big thing for something like that as well. So it's like an overuse injury. So you tend to see people in an overhand grip is not very pleasant. So things in day-to-day life, and it sounds silly, but actually driving the car like this on an underhand grip puts a lot less strain and pressure in that position of the elbow, rather than the typical, cool rapper music video position.
I don't think I've ever been that kind of person.
So that's the basic thing. So lighten the grip in day-to-day life, and anything in a neutral or a supinated grip tends to be a lot nicer, just based on the position. I would also, as well, if you're going to go down the physio route, ask them to potentially look at the shoulders. So the position of the shoulders and shoulder mobility, and sort of the bicep tricep intersection, I won't go too geeky, can also be a bit of an issue. I know people do wear those braces a lot. I personally have never used one. I couldn't give any advice on my experience using that. I have had clients use them that do find them comfortable. And again, it could be a bit of trial and error, in the sense that improvement in technique will take pressure off, but getting there is the hard bit, because it hurts.
That is the hard thing that I found. And he's had countless amount of physio, and it just gets to the point where we start to improve technique, it starts to feel better, and then he's just hitting too many golf balls.
Yeah. So probably reducing the load for sure to try and take some strain off. But I would definitely go see a physio. You need someone to be a bit hands-on, one-to-one with you, and just get stuck in there.
Okay, got another one here from David. Said, just realised I wasn't a subscriber, but now I am. welcome.
Hello.
Love the videos you two do together. They're very informative. Any tips on trigger finger issues? I don't know what trigger finger is.
I was about to ask you, what's that?
No idea. Dave, if you're still watching, David,
tell us what
tell
that
us
is.
what that is.
Is that a language thing?
Yeah,
is that an Americanism? I don't know. I'm sure it's something really simple, but trigger finger, is that the yips? I'm not sure.
It may be.
I haven't heard of that phrase particularly.
If you do know,
we'll come back to it. Let us know.
We'll come back to that. Another one from here. Hello from the Netherlands, guys. If you are watching right now, let us know where you're watching from. We want to hear where you're tuning in from right now. Got from Shane Powell here. He said, I feel quite tight in the upper body. What is the best exercise for loosening off your arms to better swing the golf club?
Okay. So I would say it's probably not your arms that need loosening. It's more the trunk. It's more the spine, more the rib cage. Arms are attached. They'll go wherever this takes you.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got loads of exercises in our previous YouTube videos. We just did one recently on the wall where we were opening out in a half kneeling position.
I like this one.
Really simple. It actually impacts the whole of the body based on the fact where we put the foam roller.
Mm-hmm.
Create some lower body stability, some upper body mobility. That is probably your go-to exercise, I would say.
Okay, so make sure this is feeling loose. You know what I like is the one where you get on all fours and you work.
Yeah, that's like also a good one.
This one is the one that
we've done that in a couple of videos as well.
Okay, David's come back to us now. Trigger finger, fingers getting better, painful for a round of golf. Waking up with them really tight and almost clawed up. I think I know what you mean.
Okay.
One of my lessons has this. It's almost like
a piano finger.
Yeah, it gets a little bit like this.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It could be tightness in the wrist as well.
Yeah, so I have heard of this. It's quite common in pianists because they're like that all the time. People that are on keyboards a lot. There is such a thing called a ganglion, which is, if you've ever heard. I've actually had one before. They're really weird. You can push it round in your hand. It's like it's almost like a swelling within the tendon of the hand.
Yeah.
And you can actually push them across. And I had it as a younger golfer, and it will be from the grip position, constant tension like this.
Terrible grip position.
So, and actually mine subsided the minute I started playing less golf, which obviously would correlate. Again, it's potentially a physio issue. If you can...
Dupuytren's. I've heard of that before.
That's not a word I know, if I'm honest.
It's exactly what you're saying. Exactly describe it.
Okay.
It's just tightening.
That's the technical term. Again, it could be a physio issue. Certainly, loosening off the forearms will help. Foam roller underneath on a firmer surface, just nice and light. It's not very easy to take that pressure because it hurts. So something like that. And again, just being aware of grip in day-to-day life. Wherever you can get out of the overhand position, come into the underhand or a neutral position is always better. It's a lot less strenuous.
So, David, I hope that helped. Sorry, we didn't know what that was.
No, we will Google that.
We probably will in time as we play a lot more golf.
Someone else will ask us that.
So, Batman said, any tips for developing a reliable swing in your 50s, which to protect you from injury and keep you playing in old age? Cheers. I think that's a brilliant question.
Yeah.
So, guys, any questions that you've got, remember, getting down on these questions. We are still going to be live here for at least another 10 minutes. So, please do get down in those comments down below. But, Nat, what's your opinion on this? So, as a golf coach, I think being better technically, having less sort of, I call it like moving parts. So less sort of random motions going on and less manipulation is always going to be better. But what could you suggest from your point of view, which would help them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key thing for me is strength work. As you get older, it happens to everyone. It's happening to us right now that you lose muscle mass as you get older. And I think roughly as you get over the age of 40, you're on like a 1 to 2% decline year by year. So it's quite a lot.
Jeez.
We're not there yet, don't we? Me sooner than you, sadly. But strength work has to be the key because I think a lot of the time, you know, as you're getting older, it's a lot about stopping the rot as it is about making progress. And that sounds like a really negative statement. But if you can stop the rot in terms of, you know, not accepting the fact that, oh, you're older, so you're going to hit it shorter, because it doesn't have to be that way. That working with some strength exercises, and again, real basics, you know, lunges, squats, bridges, press ups, these are all things that require no equipment that you can do at home on a daily basis. If you go to the gym, great, you've got a lot more variety. But getting that consistently in the week, 1 to 3 times per week, 30 to 45 minutes per week with good technique, you're onto a winner there, because that's the way that we're going to be able to then build the technique into that golf swing by having the body that's capable of doing it.
And would you say a bit of stretching as well would be?
Yeah, a little bit of, just looking after yourself, general nutrition, maybe a bit of foam rolling, a bit of easy stretching after a round, or maybe using some salts in the bath is another really good recovery tool that I recommend to a lot of clients, because I feel it for me. Like, I'm playing golf tomorrow on a links course. I know I'll come in after 4.5 hours, my feet will be sore, my calves will be sore. I'll feel it in my legs, like I'll know about it. So I come in, put some salts in the bath, and then the next day you really don't feel the effects the same.
Yeah. So I think it's more about probably recovery as you get older. Make sure you're doing as much as you can. Probably a little bit of more physical exercise before playing, but actually doing a lot more recovery.
Yeah,
is a big
I think
thing.
one thing maybe to add to that as well is warming up before you play. That's something we've not mentioned in any of these questions, and particularly in cold weather. And as you get older, you are more prone to injury. That's just a fact of life, but you don't have to be. If you prep yourself, literally 5 minutes is all you need to have an effective warm-up and get it done, and then you're ready to go to the first tee.
Okay, guys, let's go to another question here. This one come from Lara. We've already sort of answered this, but Nat can give us a bit more explanation, Lara, if you weren't here earlier. But hello from South Africa. Love South Africa, by the way.
Yeah, great place.
I keep standing up through my swing. Any tips to break this habit? Now, Lara, if you've tried countless drills from a golf coach's point of view, that's when you need to start looking at the golf fitness aspects, because essentially you're doing everything because of how your body's limited.
Yeah, exactly. If you've worked on the technique and you're not seeing that much progress after a period of time, then it potentially is a physical issue. So the couple of things we would look at again is, mobility of the hips and ankles, because they're huge contributors to that early extension, thrusting forward position. A lack of lower body strength, particularly in the glutes. So the glutes are there in the swing to sort of stabilize the pelvis. They're basically stopping the pelvis pushing forwards and swaying excessively left and right. So more strength in the glutes and hamstrings will definitely help. And again, I just check the basics in terms of setup. Are we in anterior tilt? Because if we're dumping the pelvis forwards with that belt buckle too far towards the ground, as we start to make the backswing, it's very hard for us to get back the other way into the downswing if you're too far one way. So they're the key things for that. And then, maybe building in some golf, I hate the phrase golf specific, but golf specific exercises where, you might have the Swiss ball on the wall and we're driving into the wall to really just give some feedback to the brain and be like, right, this is the position we want you to get in. Then start hitting some shots and try and feel that same thing.
So, Laura, on that one, if you head over to Off Scratch on Instagram, we're going to be putting that reel up in the next few days, actually. We've got one prepared. I just want to take a point, guys, before we go on to Choco's questions here. I think this is a great one that I want to challenge a little bit, really, is that we've got Off Scratch. It's launched. It's going live. We are live, and it's going great. And we want to share it with you. So you can access every single one of our plans. There's 3 up on there for free for a week. So you can sign up. All you need to do is put your email in, and then you can view that plan for a week. It's golf and fitness. So you're going to get 2 videos in every single one. So if you sign up to all 3, that's going to give you 6 videos. So do make sure you go over there, and you will get the PDF guide access as well for that week as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to challenge Choco's question here, because I would say, in my opinion, I've made more improvements with golf players of all levels and all abilities. More recently using golf and fitness than I had beforehand. So his question here is, if you don't know the secret of golf, I'd question, what is the secret?
Yeah, God, please tell me, because I'll be way better.
Fitness is useless. Look at the old timer swing, no fitness, but ball compression. Now, I would argue with this, Choco, like my point with this is, if you look at, we're classing all the old timers, Gary Player, very fit, very healthy. Greg Norman, very healthy.
Still ripped.
Yeah. If you look at, let's say, Jack Nicklaus, of his time, of his day, he was super fit and super healthy. And what I would say is, people swing their swing, and you're also going to have people within their generation who are ultimately uber talented. Yeah. Like, they would be amazing no matter what they did. Yeah. But if we're looking at the overall mean, if you look at the way golf's going, you're looking at golfers who aren't golfers anymore. You're looking at an athlete turned into a golfer rather than a golfer turning into an athlete. Like, these people would be able to put themselves to any sport because of what they are. That doesn't want to put older people off. Like we're saying right now, you might have swung it this way for 30 years because you've had a shoulder injury that you've done nothing about. making little short marginal gains, you can improve that and therefore improve your swing.
Yeah, I think just on that point as well is that everybody's built so differently, so everybody's swing will be entirely unique.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're saying is, you don't have to swing like a carbon copy of Tiger Woods or Adam Scott, because for you and I, that's not achievable. So that's not achievable for 18 handicapper Joe that plays at the golf club either. But what we're saying is we want to enhance your golf swing and the way that you move. So if you've got some moves in there that we can improve on, then why not take that improvement? It doesn't have to be all a case of back in the day people did it like this, so this is wrong. But we're open-minded enough to know that things have to adapt, and we're willing to try that and see if it makes things better. Definitely.
Exactly. So, guys, we've been on live for 5 more minutes now, so this is your opportunity to ask Nat some questions. So, I actually got a question for you. If I said to you, what would be your most common injury / area of the body or niggle that you work with people with that you're trying to prevent, or like mostly comes up?
Oh, good question. I think lower back has to be the number one. And statistically, again, I know I've said this to you loads of times, but statistically, 25% of golfers have lower back pain. So that means if you play in a 4-ball, 1 out of your 4 will be playing at that point in time with lower back pain. And a lot of the time, people just don't know what to do about it. So they just suffer in silence and they just get on with it. And again, it's just simple things like, any good sort of biomechanist will tell you it's all about just basics, that the body is designed to move in various different ways. And it doesn't have to be in these perfect positions. But if the position you're currently in is giving you an issue, we would look at trying to change that. So again, it's, looking at posture, pelvic position is huge. I know I bang on about it and it's so boring, but it really is the number one thing that is giving people pain. The pelvis being in the incorrect position for your body will put strain in areas that we just don't want it to be. And then when we're bent over hitting 100 balls at the range, it's just going to compound that. So again, 90-degree glute bridge with the roller. If you do not know what that is, you have to go and look, because that is your dream exercise.
Is that on scratch as well?
We haven't got it on off scratch in a minute. It's on one of my reels, but we will put it on off scratch.
So guys, if you just join us off scratch, we'll give you a little brief overview before we get into some of these rest of these questions. So go on, Nat, you take it away, because I've said it before.
For
off scratch.
So what do we love so much about off scratch? Absolutely everything. It really is just simply a combination of golf, teaching and fitness. And this kind of came about because we had so many mutual clients that we were both coaching and we were seeing so much progress with them combining these two factors. So they were training in the gym, they were doing exercises, and again, really basic things, no heavy sort of deadlifts and bench press for the majority
put people
of
off with
people.
goal fitness, do we?
Exactly. It's not about necessarily throwing weights around. We should really call it better golf movement if that's the case. And then those clients come into you for golf lessons, and all of a sudden they can move in ways they've never been able to move before and start progressing. And really, that is all off scratch is. We put that into video format. It's really simple. We have a lesson on the tee. We have an exercise that complements that week's lesson. So those exercises are hand selected specifically to complement the movement within that lesson. Because from my end, they're the things that I've been seeing that are holding people back, is that they can't make this specific movement and that specific movement. And these things all correlate to technical faults. So we're seeing people slice the ball because they don't separate very well. And we're seeing people early extend because their pelvis is out of position. So what we've done in those lessons is combine the physical aspect with what you've been taught. And that was really long-winded, but that's what it is.
So essentially, it's golf and fitness together.
Pretty much, yeah.
But no, guys, do go and check it out. We think it's something really, really that we're really proud of. We worked hard on it.
Yeah.
We want you guys to check it out. Okay, so I like this question from JMac619. This will be one of our last questions, guys. And thank you so much for the support. We've got Dylan watching from Indiana, USA.
Ooh.
That is awesome.
Wow.
Artificial hip replacement. There's probably a lot of people watching this. We get to a certain age, we play golf through so up to maybe 70s and 80s, and we may actually have artificial hips. I'm going to sort of elaborate on this question. Is there anything that we can do to keep the movement going? Any exercise that you think that can help with this?
Yeah, I mean, this is a common thing. My dad's had a hip replacement, and he's a 5 handicap golfer, so I'm fairly experienced with this one, in the sense that if you've had a hip replaced, it should be, you would hope, better than the original, or certainly in a better state than you have been for the previous however many years. So you should hopefully actually have better range of movement than before. There is a big rehab side to this as well, is that if this is a fresh operation, it should come with a rehab plan that you should hopefully, I say should, be following, because that is designed to get you into the best health possible based off that. But again, there should be no reason really why you can't actually make the movements that we would prescribe for somebody who hasn't got that, unless there's a medical issue and it's a case of, I have a client who had a shoulder repaired, and the shoulder and the arm was so broken off a car crash, it basically is like this, facing forwards. So there's just simply no way that she can make certain moves within her backswing. So we've had to kind of work around that. So unless there's an issue with something specific like that, there should be no reason why you can't still create mobility. And the key is consistency. It's doing it regularly all the time. Don't see that as a limitation, because it's absolutely not. It's probably an advantage to a lot of people that you will play with. So just maximize that, strengthen those areas, strengthen the glutes for one, particularly the more finer, smaller glute muscles on the side of the hips here, glute medius, glute minimus that we see, and glute max, the big booty on the back. The more you can stabilize that along with the core and the trunk, the better off you'll be.
Awesome. So essentially secure and strengthen everything around it.
Stabilize all of those positions.
That's going to help you. Guys, thanks so much for joining us on this week's live stream. I hope you enjoyed having Nat on here. And a final time, do make sure you click the link down below to access those plans free for 1 week. Thanks so much.